you guys. All right, so this is part of our every other week free training programs that we'll put out. So we've done how to survive an OSHA inspection, lockout, tag out. We've done a couple other topics. This particular one, I think I did a couple months ago, maybe last summer. But it is a good one because it will help you as a small business or whatever size business you are on determining what kind of programs you need to comply with OSHA. And it really doesn't matter if you're in construction or general industry. I was thinking about that this morning. Programs are going to be pretty much the same. There may be some more programs that you need to get on for construction. It just depends on what kind of instruction you're in. So I want to give an opportunity for anyone who has a specific issue to address to raise your hand now so that we can address that. And then I can kind of address that during the training. So if you have anything in particular that you want to address, raise your hand now and I'll allow you to talk. We only have 12 people, so we have enough time. So raise your hand if you have any specific question to your industry. All right, I don't see anyone's hands up, so I will move forward into, okay, we got one person, Gabriella. Okay, you can talk, Gabriella.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. So we are in the boiler industry.
Okay.
And there's actually been confusion as to what programs apply to us.
In terms of safety programs, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to cover that because there's not really a distinction between industries as one might think. So that we'll definitely cover that. Okay. You may have specific ones for your industry that we will show you how to find out if there are any. But generally speaking, everyone has to have pretty much the same programs, and I'll go over that.
Okay, and then you're going over Cal OSHA required programs?
I'm going to go over, yes, because, you know, I'm in California. A lot of you that signed up are from across the country. But okay. Yes, Cal OSHA is going to be more stringent.
Yeah.
But we will cover those areas as needed. And again, when we get into this, you'll see that all you need to do is put a little effort in and you'll find out what's required for your specific industry.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Anyone else have any questions? How many of you from out of California, raise your hand? Because I saw quite a few. Okay, we're gonna cover general industry and just OSHA in general. And if there's anything in particular that, and there is one thing that California does require that other states do not, and I'll cover that. And I like that. You know, California, it's just getting worse here. It's not going to get better. There's going to be more and more regulation, and that probably goes for every state. But California is way ahead of the game in terms of requiring certain things. Now, the one thing they do require here in terms of OSHA is an injury and illness prevention program. I like that. I agree with it. Everybody should have one. Everybody in the US should have a basically a quality manual, but for safety. I agree with that. And they're easy to do. They're not difficult. But that's the difference between Cal OSHA and the rest of the other states. But there is quite a few states that require something similar to that. Nevada is one of them. I think New Jersey may have something like an injury and illness prevention program. They may just call it a safety manual. I don't know. But if you guys have a safety manual at your company, raise your hand. Because a safety manual, to me, is your foundation for safety, right? That's what you're going to be really referring back to. And they're easy to put together. None of these are difficult, guys. None of the things that we're going to cover is outrageously difficult and time consuming. But they do require some effort. Either you do it in-house or you hire a consultant. You just got to get it done. and I'll get into that. So I'm going to get started. This should be about 30 minutes or so, and I have time for you guys to ask questions when we're done. I encourage you to write them down. Once we're done, I will, raise your hand and we'll address them. I really encourage you guys to ask questions. Okay. This is for you. This is training is for you. So, and it's free, and I'm not doing it any more, any less than if I were paid. I'm committed to communicating to every company that I work with the ability and the tools to create a zero injury workplace. That is my commitment as a business. So who we are, who's ROI? Well, my name is Jesse McClellan. This is ROI Safety Services. I've been doing this for about 30 years. I started off in the aerospace industry. I basically ended in the aerospace industry, and everywhere between. I was in construction, I was in chemical manufacturing, I was in the refinery business. I was in a lot of very high risk environments, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot of what not to do, and I learned a lot of what to do that makes sense, and what we like to call in the industry added value. Okay, that is my purpose today, is to give you the added value you need to implement these programs at your workplace. If you don't need to do something, don't do it. Okay, if it doesn't add value to your company, then I am 100% committed to getting rid of stuff like that. Clear space up for things that need to be implemented, and hopefully today will help you with that. So we are a full service safety and environmental compliance firm. We specialize in site-specific safety and environmental training. We focus on providing each client, so that's each of you, with the tools to meet and exceed all regulatory compliance requirements. That is my commitment. So with the primary objective of educating and supporting each person we work with, and our end game in this is zero injuries. Okay, that's the game that we're in. We're in a game of creating zero injuries. So this is my commitment to you. So we will cover general industry and construction, and in this, a lot of this can comply with agriculture, ag, aerospace, whatever industries that you may be in. It really is a kind of a generic training. I do use OSHA training material. So this is OSHA's training material. I have added a few things here and there, and I will add stuff that isn't necessarily on the PowerPoint, but I'm going to communicate that to you. And this is coming from many, many years of experience. And we touch about 200 companies a year in our average consulting. We deal with a lot of different companies across the country. So we get what's going on out there. And most of our companies are between 50 to 300 employees. And a good amount of them are less than 50. So we get it, and we want to provide added valuable training to you. And so this is the purpose of our doing these free webinars. So each year, thousands of workers die as a result of exposure to either hazards in the workplace, from chemicals, from falling, from you name it, it happens. Active shooters, all kinds of COVID this year, or last 2 years, COVID is going to be huge. Those are going to be huge numbers. Safety and health programs can help reduce these fatalities. Now, not in and of themselves. Of course, they can't do that. It's people. People are the key behind this. And that's what I hope to walk away with this training, that you guys take that into consideration, that you're the leader in this. You're the one that's going to be able to implement these programs and to get your people enrolled in these programs, get them enrolled. And that is the commitment you need to make as an individual, as a company, as a owner, whatever role you're in. You need to make that commitment. If you do, you're going to have a successful program, whatever the program is. Look at these numbers. These numbers are outrageous. And this is from 2015. They're only going to get worse going forward. They're only going to get worse. So you have falls. If you're in the trucking industry, you already know the hazards there. It's insane. I had a fatality 2 months ago. We had a driver fall asleep at the wheel and he died. He was in his early 20s. And that's horrible, horrible. Slips, trips, and falls. These are another big area of fatalities. Getting crushed, violence in the workplace is on the rise, is definitely on the rise. Exposure to harmful environments or chemicals, fires and explosions. This is public information. This is 2015. This is today, guys, right here. I just got on the OSHA injury report, and it's free information. You can get on there too. And I just took a snapshot. This is from late last year, and look at all the fatalities. These are fatalities. These aren't injuries. So there's a distinction, right? Death and not death. Worker died when a truck fell off the edge of the canal. That was in California, in Corcoran. Here's one from Ohio. Worker fatally injured in a fall from a roof. Here's another one in Ohio. Worker died in a fall. A lot of these are falls. Struck by a truck. Worker fatally struck by an end loader. Falling from a trailer deck. Worker fatally struck by a pickup truck. A lot of these are going to be falls, trips, you name it. It's some kind of fall or in that ballpark. So there's a lot of that going on. So if you're in the construction industry, definitely need to pay attention to that. Our purpose today is to recognize the cost of the workplace accident, not only the cost, but really the overall impact an accident causes. They are just drainers on any company. Recognize the benefits of implementing an effective safety and health program. Describe the elements of an effective safety and health program and identify 3 methods to prevent workplace hazards. The direct cost of an accident, and there's more than this. These are just the big ones. Cost, really the real cost for treatment is usually the 60% of the overall cost, unless there's a lawsuit, and that changes everything. So cost of physician in a hospital, cost of medications, cost of medical equipment. Those are all some pretty big costs, direct costs. And then you have indirect costs. And these are really big ones, scheduled delays, lower morale, which is almost impossible to actually quantify, increased absenteeism, poor customer relations. Yes, poor customer relations. I've had clients have fatalities and serious injuries, and they're in the aerospace industry. Boeing, Northrop Grumman, the other guys, they see when you have injuries. They actually request copies of your 300 logs. So they're going to know about this if you're a supplier. Even the government contracts will want to see your injury logs. That's why we get, to be honest, we get contacted by vendors all the time who want these big government contracts, who want to work with these big companies. And they go, we need an IIPP, we need a safety manual because we want to work with these big companies. Well, that's the other benefit of having a good program. Aside from, the obvious benefits we're covering now. So poor customer relations, retraining. Each and every one of you are experiencing now the negativity and the drainage on your time when it comes to training, because everybody here has high turnover. If you don't have high turnover in your industry, you're an anomaly at this point, because every client I see every single day, we need people. They can't find people. They can't find people to hire. And when they do get people, they have to train them. And then they train them and then they get hurt or they quit. So this is a huge drain on everybody. So this right now, everybody does. And quality, definitely quality is impacted from injuries. How could that be? Well, you don't have that person there, that maybe that experienced person. People tend to rush. You got to cover for that position. You got to go get temps that aren't qualified. And it just, the list goes on. Some benefits of a program, some cons of a program. Benefits may include improvement in the product, process, and service quality, better morale, improved recruiting and retention, more favorable image and reputation. All of these are huge benefits. One distinct benefit here is getting everyone involved in creating your program. Okay, it's just not done in a vacuum. You know, sitting in an office, going on a university website and downloading a lockout tagout program. And I know, you know, that's okay. Go download a program, a template, lockout tagout, HazCom, forklift training. They're all there. They're all free. If you download the template, which is fine, you still got to fill it out to make it site specific. Okay, so this is the thing that I see time and time again. These companies will download these programs or even get them from their insurance company, which is another way of getting. Oh, by the way, if you get your safety manual from the insurance company, it's going to be like that thick, and it's going to have nothing to do with what you guys are doing at your warehouse or your machine shop. So don't even bother using those. They're overkill and they'll drive you nuts. My recommendation is, well, you're going to find out. But when you download these programs, make sure you create a program that's site specific to you. Okay. And that does take work. Okay. So these are the elements of implementing an effective, powerful safety program. Okay. Creating the culture, getting trust from your employees, reinforcing what you're requiring out there. So number one action is communicate your commitment to safety and health programs. Is establish a written safety program. Okay. Have it in writing, have policies from top management, communicate them to everybody, and have them posted. Define your goals. Implement SMART goals. Establish realistic, attainable, measurable goals. We want to have 0 injuries in 2022. Well, how do we do that? We implement safety programs. We implement training programs. We hold people accountable. We do audits. We do more training. Develop site-specific programs. How do you do that? We're going to get into that. Allocate resources. You need resources to do this. You need a budget. You need to allocate time. You need to designate somebody to do this. Maybe you have a team of people that do it, which is usually the best way to do it, or you hire a consultant. Consultants are wonderful for smaller companies, but you cannot rely on them 100%. We do a lot of safety programs, but we are not there every day. We can give you the tools to do it, but we're not going to be there every day to do it for you. So there needs to be somebody on site who's 100% on board with implementing these programs. Now, that being said, having a consultant, a person in charge, a champion of the program, and top management, that is a good combination for smaller companies for 100 or less. But if you have 100 or more employees, I highly recommend you have a safety person on site full time. 100 or more is typically what we suggest. If you're in the construction industry, if it's 50 or more, you should have a full-time safety person. So expect performance. Define and communicate responsibilities. The key here, guys, is being responsible. If your top management is committed to this, they're going to identify the responsible party. They're going to be a leader. They're going to hold everyone accountable to their commitments, and they're going to get it done. Getting the workers to participate is key. Results are dependent upon them getting enrolled in the program. And how do you do that? You get them and get engaged in what you're going to accomplish. So you create a safety committee. That's one way to do it. I love safety committees. I like them for any size company. Sharing the responsibility is very helpful in creating these programs. Establish a process to report injuries, near misses, and other safety and health concerns. Give the employees the power to stop work if they find something unsafe is key. This is really hard to do in some environments, especially in construction. So we want you guys to know that you will be risking if you have if you give the authority to your employees to stop production if they see something unsafe. So this is something that you're going to be vulnerable to, and rightly so. We want to give responsibility to our people. That's how you get them enrolled. You give your employees the responsibility, and they meet your expectations. Give them more responsibility. They'll meet these expectations. Reward them. Encourage them. That's the recipe for a powerful, effective training program within your organization. So encourage participation in the program. Provide positive reinforcement to everybody. Get out on that floor. If you are in a production environment, get out on that production environment. You don't always need to be cracking the whip on production. You can be encouraging as well. Identify people that are doing safe, they're practicing safe safety, reward them. I love when managers go out and say, hey man, I noticed you're doing a really good job today, and encourage them. Give them a gift card, give them something that will incentivize their good behavior. Maintain an open door policy. Now, what does that mean? In your culture, it might be different. I'm not sure, but you need to define that. Does that mean that you are literally available anytime they want to talk? If you are, you better stick to that. You better make that open door policy real. Okay. Think about how you can do that. Now, action 3 is to involve workers in all aspects of the program. And this is so important. Developing the program, creating a program, getting it buy-in and input from your supervisors, managers, and the hourly folks, getting feedback from them. And there's no better way to do this than in a safety committee. Reporting hazards, analyzing them, developing solutions, conducting inspections, getting everyone enrolled in this program is the key to getting everyone involved in creating a zero injury workplace. Giving workers access to safety data sheets, injury logs, exposure monitoring, and then removing any barriers of participation. Making sure that everyone enrolled in this program can clearly reach whatever they need with your assistance, whether they need education, training, policy, ensure policies and programs do not discourage worker participation. So these are all things that need to be clearly identified and communicated within your organization. Here's another key area. All of these are super important, but this one is really, really important. Hazard identification. And this may go back to the question we had earlier about the specifics of your industry. Finding out what industry you're in, whether you're in the Boilermaker, whether you're in ag, maybe wastewater treatment, maybe you're in distribution, whatever industry you're in, you're going to have site-specific requirements. And this is where doing hazard identification is so important. There's lots of ways to get your industry-specific requirements. You can get them from, if you have some kind of board or whatever group that you meet with in boilers or agriculture, or maybe you're in the lead industry or the aerospace industry. There's a lot of resources that you can draw from, but each of them are site specific. The best way to do this is to find out exactly where your risks are. Look at your 300 logs, look at your near misses, or go back 5 years with your insurance company and see what kind of claims you've had. Then go out and look at the kind of equipment you have and the processes you have, and then evaluate each one, inspecting the workplace, creating a checklist. There's checklists for almost every industry you can think of. Getting out there, doing an inspection. This is where I strongly believe that a third party would be the most beneficial, because we as a consultant can go in there. We know the industry, we know the environments, we know the requirements, the laws and state laws, local laws and federal laws, and we know the industry. So what we call as a gap analysis is a good way to start any new safety program. Having a third party go in there, doing a gap analysis, seeing where your gaps are, giving you that report, and then running with that. That is the best way to do this. We do this all the time with businesses, from startup companies to businesses that have been around for 50 years. And we think that that is the best approach to creating a powerful safety program. And then when you have incidents, create a plan to do investigations immediately. Find out exactly what happened, what went wrong. Conduct a root cause analysis and make sure that that never ever happens again. Creating 5 whys or fishbone, using some kind of root cause analysis software is the best way to get to the root cause. So identify hazards with emergency and non-routine tasks. Assess what kind of scenarios could happen. Conduct tabletops. These are all things that you can do. A lot of our companies have implemented active shooter training, because is that a potential to happen? Yes, it could happen anywhere. So some of our companies are like, wow, we want to get involved. We want to be proactive. Let's implement active shooter training. Let's get it proactive. And then characterize the nature of identified hazards. Determine the controls to be implemented and prioritize the hazards for control. This is where you want to get somebody, an expert in the area, is look at your site specific needs, put a list together, identify where your highest risk is, how can I address it, and what kind of timetable do I have? I tell you what, if you do that, you're going to be in charge of this. You're going to be in control of this. If you hire a consultant or do it in-house, you're going to be in control of this. If you have OSHA come in and do it, OSHA Consult, I know some of you may have heard of them, but OSHA Consult will gladly come into your site and do this for you. The only problem is they're going to give you a deadline, a timeline. And if you don't meet that timeline, you're going to have problems. So I don't always recommend OSHA Consult to come in and do these free OSHA inspections. That's what they call them. They can get you into some trouble. Now, OSHA Consult is different from OSHA inspection, and there's some benefits to it, but I don't really see very many of them in terms of long-term. Because the biggest thing that we've seen, and we've gotten the calls, is machines that can't be fixed. If they see machines that are very old and you can't machine guard them anymore, that's going to cost you some money, or you got to get rid of it. So there's some high risk involved. So doing it internally or hiring a consultant is a good way of doing it. Now, prevention is key. Identification and then preventing. So identify your controls, review OSHA standards, NIOSH, industry standards, get consultants in there, find out how to fix the problem, select how you're going to do it, determine what the best method is for you, and then list them all out, assign responsibility, implement a planning, doing, checking, and acting procedure. Select the controls for emergency and non-routine operations, develop procedures to control hazards during these situations, assign responsibility, and holding people accountable, doing drills, training, drilling, training, checking, planning, doing, checking. It's all the processes that you need to implement. Okay, now implement selected controls in the workplaces. How to do that is implement controls starting with the highest priority, and then drill down. When we go into a facility, oftentimes I will find the number one priority is making sure you have an evacuation plan. I just finished up with one the other day and met with the client, and they said, what do I do? Where are we the most vulnerable? And I said, you need to have an evacuation plan. That's the first thing we addressed. Follow up to confirm that controls are effective. So planning, doing, checking, and acting is the process I use. Tracking progress, assigning responsibility. Education and training, provide program awareness training, regularly scheduled training. Most of you guys can do training every month. I recommend you keep it regular, you keep it monthly. It doesn't always need to be done with a consultant, or it could, most of the training could be done in-house. We would recommend that you create a site-specific training plan that meets your needs. It's so funny. We'll go into clients' facilities and we'll look at their training that they've done over the last few years. And a lot of the training is irrelevant. They'll have like motorcycle training or something that is irrelevant to what they're doing. So we want to make sure that you're doing the training that's added value. If you're doing lockout, tagout training and you guys don't have anything that you're locking out, get rid of that. If you have chemicals at your site and you're not doing HazCom training, you need to do HazCom training. Emergency evacuation is for everybody. Active shooter training, I recommend that for everybody. Personal protection equipment, that's for everybody. Everybody has to do that. Fire extinguisher training, that's for everybody. Everyone has to do that. Train workers on their specific responsibilities and what programs they need to know about. If you are involved in hazardous waste, you may need to take a HazWOPER class. That is a very specific training class. Whether it be 40, 24, or just an 8-hour class, you need to identify what training you need, and you need to make it happen. So train all your managers on how to identify hazards. That really is important for all your managers and supervisors and leads to be able to identify hazards. And then once you identify them, mitigate them. Once you mitigate them, make sure that they don't reoccur. Provide a system that allows your workers to communicate any hazards that they identify. And then evaluate. Make sure that you guys have a system to evaluate your training programs, auditing them, planning, doing, checking, and acting. It's key. Don't let programs just sit on the shelf and collect dust. That's the other area that we see quite often. We went into a very large company, a multi-billion-dollar company, and we looked at their programs. They had awesome programs, really well written, but nobody has touched them since 2016. And I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. You guys have these tremendous resources, plenty of staff, but these programs haven't been updated in a very, very long time. So programs are really awesome, but they need to be kept alive and updated annually or as they need to be. So that is the key here. Correct program deficiencies and identify opportunities for improvement. There's always going to be opportunities to make your programs better. Set goals for your programs. When I was in the corporate world, the goals that I had for my programs was we would update every program annually or more frequent as needed. Every employee would get training annually on every program that we have annually. That was part of our annual training plan. And our goal was to have 95% attendance. Okay, that was our goal and we met it. We had almost 98%. And then we made sure that we set even more stringent goals the next year. So eventually we would end up, we want 100% attendance. Multiplayer work sites. Now this is the same in terms of implementing it at one. You just roll out that same material to the other locations. It's good to have a liaison there. Most companies that we deal with don't have a full-time safety person at other sites, and those are challenging. And that is one of the weaknesses I see in most of our clients that have multiple locations. So that is a challenge for everybody. So I would encourage you to establish these requirements at your primary location and then roll them out to the other locations. Okay. Now the benefits are huge. You're going to protect your people. You're going to create a zero injury environment. Minimize. Forget about minimizing. Eliminate safety health risk. That's the language we need to be using. Zero injuries, eliminating risk. And then help employers provide safe and healthy work conditions. Now, this is the hierarchy of eliminating hazards. I know we're going over a little bit, but I'll cover this real quick. So whenever you have a hazard, you want to eliminate it if you can, replace it if you can, and then use engineering controls, administrative controls, and PPE. And unfortunately, we tend to camp out on PPE. But if you're an engineer, if you guys are creating work processes, and you want to really be in the area of elimination and substitution and engineering. So this is the hierarchy of control, but you got to be able to identify your hazards first before you even get into this. So use hazard control plans, develop plans with measurable measures to protect your people, evaluate effectiveness of existing controls, and review any new technologies. There's always new stuff coming out. OSHA encourages each of you to protect your employee. So you are responsible for protecting your employee, but your employees are also responsible for telling you about the hazards. That is something that needs to be communicated to them. So an effective training, safety and health training program will have management's commitment and employees' commitment. But for you, you need to take responsibility for your facility. You need to be able to understand your risk and communicate that to your people. Okay, how does that start? You first need to make the decision. You need to do a gap analysis. You need to find out what's going on in my facility. Once you figure out that, then you can figure out what programs I need, how to create a program, how to do training, how to hold people accountable to their commitments. Those are the things that need to get done. So step one is find out what's going on at your facility. Okay. And then if you figure out, oh yeah, I'm in the, aerospace industry and there's no real specific requirements. You're in general industry. Okay. You need to figure out what specific programs you need. You need a lockout tagout program. You need a HAZCOM program. You need a safety manual. You need an emergency evacuation plan. These are all common in every industry. When you get into the specifics, such as construction maybe, or the chemical refining industry, that may be a little different. You may need to do more research and find out specifically. But if you guys haven't done much, now's the time to really take a hard look at what you guys are doing and determine what you need to do in terms of understanding what is your requirement. But right now, the basic programs are going to be, these are the required documented written programs right now. HAZCOM, you need a written program. Powered industrial truck, you need a written program. That's forklifts. Personal protection equipment is part of hazard identification. You need a documented program. How do you identify your hazards and how do you mitigate them? Another documented program is, I think most states require a documented COVID program. Lockout tagout program, you need a documented program. Emergency evacuation, make sure you document it. You have planned exit routes. You don't need a documented program for fire extinguisher training. You do need the training every year. So there's quite a few programs that actually need to be documented, some that don't. I hope this is helping you guys, but I would like to hear back from each of you. If you have any questions, please raise your hand so we can have the conversation. I have till 9 a.m. So I got 20 minutes. So if you guys have any questions, please ask. Okay, Gabriella, I noticed you have your hand up.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I do have two questions actually. And I'm not sure if you can answer these now, but as an employer, how do we know when Cal OSHA makes a change to a safety program?
They make very few changes, but one way to do it is to get on their mailing list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See, guys, when OSHA, Cal OSHA, Fed OSHA, when they make a change, it's a big deal, right?
Right.
Because it's an opportunity for consultants to make money. And so they're going to let you know too. That's typically what we see. I mean, Granger will even send you, it's weird how some of the vendors that will contact you. Oh, hey, the silica program is changing. You need to have air monitoring. You need to do engineering controls now. Or, hey, the forklift standard just changed. You guys need to have, every forklift you have has to have a seatbelt. The vendors are going to let you know, because they're going to make money off it. So most of the OSHA changes are going to be driven or going to be communicated out pretty quickly. The biggest one recently has been silica. That's why I brought silica up. That seems to be a target for OSHA. And a lot of our clients are getting nailed on that one. But generally speaking, go to the Cal OSHA, go to Fed OSHA, and you can get on their mailing list. There's plenty of attorneys that you can get on their mailing list. It will send you updates as well. Or you can pay for it from BLR or other safety training or safety consultants.
Okay, and the reason why I asked was because that's one thing we're facing right now, and we are looking into possibly having a safety consultant to support us with a lot of our programs.
Yeah.
And we're questioning if we really need, or just in general, to help us take a little bit closer look at it. But that is one big thing that I came across. I'm like, well, how do we know if
Yeah.
changes? And I keep hearing that in December of last year, there was several changes made to a lot of programs, but I wasn't aware.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I firmly believe. And even when I was in the industry, when I was in the corporate world, I would hire a group every 3 years to come in and do a wall-to-wall audit, just because me as a professional, I'm going to miss stuff. I want them to come in with the third-party eye point of view and go through everything. And every 3 years we would find a lot of stuff that we have to fix. And, you know, we have more risk. We were a $1 billion company, so there's a lot of risk involved. Small companies have even, in a lot of ways, more risk, because if you get inspected by OSHA and you have gaps, you're going to get fined, 70, 80 grand, and that's a lot of money. So having a gap analysis, I firmly believe everybody should have one at least once every 3 years, but have at least one once they commit to creating a safe culture. The couple $1,000s or whatever it is, depending on the size of your business, it's not that much in the long run. It really isn't.
Okay.
And we do them all the time. They average between 4 hours to a full day, depending on how many locations you have and how many, what kind of processes you have. But most of them, they're fairly simple. And we walk you along that process. We identify everything you need. And here's the thing that we do that you might really like is we actually give you the programs and tailor them to you guys. So that's the benefit.
Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah, we're happy to help you if we can.
Okay. And I do have one other question.
Okay.
So there's also been a lot of questions as to what specific programs require certifications or wallet cards and which are acceptable with just in-house training.
Okay. Now those are here's your standard ones. First aid CPR. If you're doing any refinery training, are you guys doing refinery work?
Yeah.
Then you need an RSO card. You guys already know that. Forklift training, powered industrial truck training, they may require a card. Some do, some don't. I don't know which one you're going into. And confined space, possibly.
Yeah.
Again, those are the common ones that we see. But again, we'd have to look and see exactly what is needed. Some of these, if you're doing a lot of refinery work, they'll tell you what they want from you and you just give it to them, hey, we need proof of lockout, tagout training and your confined space entry training, and then you just send it over to them. You don't necessarily need a card, just some kind of training record.
Right. But as far as if we have an OSHA inspector come in and he sees that type of work being done, I'm sure that's what he'll want to see.
Yeah, when OSHA comes in, they're going to want to see sign-in sheets. That's what they want.
Okay.
Yeah, a sign-in sheet will be just fine for them. The ones who want the ones who are requesting the cards are usually contractors, Chevron, the big ones. OSHA just wants to see proof of training. That's all they care about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that gives me a general idea.
Yeah, I personally don't issue cards anymore for forklift training. We just issue certificates, and that's fine. It's a certificate we give to everybody who does our training. We give them a certificate.
Okay.
And that's 100% suitable.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, can you work with Western Car Wash Association to come up with it? Yeah, we can do site-specific training and create programs for each company. That's what we do. That's what ROI Safety does. So we absolutely can do that. We create programs for distribution companies, to aerospace companies, to wastewater treatment companies. So yeah, and it does need to be site specific, and you're going to get the most value if you have a consultant come in. You know, they know what they're going to, what industry you're in, how to manage it for you, give you the tools, and that's our commitment. I want to give you guys the tools for success to create a zero injury environment. That's my goal as a business owner. This is what I've done for 30 years, and I want to help each of you guys to achieve that goal. So any other questions? Brian, Doug, Juan, any questions? Mike? No hands up, no hands up. All right. Well, hey guys, I appreciate each and every one of you for attending this free training. I do want to invite you to our Train the Trainer course next week. We are going to have a forklift or a powered industrial truck Train the Trainer course next week. And if you would like to attend, get on our website. It's going to be a great class. We do this every month. It's very, very inexpensive. I think it's $3.99 per person, and it will help save money in terms of doing forklift training in-house, which it should be in-house, right? Because this is your location, your facility. You guys are the ones who got to deal with these powered industrial trucks every day. We do offer that training, but we would love to assist you with providing you with the Train the Trainer resource. So if you're interested in that, just go to our website and sign up. We got plenty of room. It's next week. I think it's next Wednesday. And I'd love to see you there. And if you guys need a quote on doing a gap analysis, get on our website, send me an email. I'd love to give you guys a quote, and especially for gap analysis, those are very, very important for every business to have, is to find out. You don't know what you don't know, right? We got to make sure we know what we know in terms of being safe. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will be available for the rest of the afternoon. If you want to give me a call, my number is 714-520-1608, 714-520-1608. That's my cell number. I just put it up. I'd be more than happy to help you if you have any specific questions for your location. All right, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.